It's magic number 10. Last win for the Lobos was 2009. It was the first year after we left. 29-27 victory, and since then it's been all Colorado State. Great evening to celebrate Dontrell. Give Teton his trophy, which is really cool, a national honor that we don't get around here a whole lot, which is really, really cool. But outside of the most important thing being the football game, the opportunity to have Dontrell put up there. And if you look up there, there's only 6. We've been playing football since 1894. So it's a very prestigious deal, well-deserved and well-earned. He said something that, it's funny. Dontrell was the highest recruited guy that we got to play here under Coach Long. I was a GA during the recruiting days for Dontrell, and I wrote more letters to Dontrell Moore that coaches signed from them. I was a pen pal with Dontrell, and he didn't even know it. I knew every visit he went on. I knew every buddy that was recruiting him. And for him to be here, for him to pick New Mexico was really special. He started that era 2002 to 2005. And it's kind of funny. That was the 5th year of building a program. And in 2002, we competed for a conference championship. We go up to Colorado State in 2002. They're 15th in the country. They're 5-0 in league. We're 4-1. If we win that game, we win the Mountain West Conference Championship and go to the Liberty Bowl. And it was a really good game. We lose 22-14. It's probably one of the only times, and this is on Dontrell, one of the only times I've ever seen Dontrell get stopped on 4th and 1. They had a linebacker make a great play in the 4th quarter. We have the ball on the 41-yard line going in late, and they made a stop. They made 2 4th down stops late in the second half. They had 252 yards of total offense. We had like 350. We outgained them. They blocked a punt. They blocked a punt for a safety. We turned the ball over 3 times. And outside of those turnovers, it was a conference championship game. And they got the better end. But we went on to compete for championships at that point. We built a great program. And that's what we're doing right now. We're in the process. It's guys like Dontrell, the kids, the Luke Wysongs, that are going to make this place special. Last week, we got opportunities to make that game a whole lot better than we did. The end of the first half, we turned the ball over going in to score. We have an opportunity when it's 7-0 on a 3rd and 13 where we make a mistake on a pass interference when we let a guy get behind us and cover 2, and we hold them to a field goal instead of them getting no points and having them punt the ball. We score a touchdown to make it 17-7 on defense, and then we give them right back the momentum with a 40-yard kickoff return, and then a holding penalty, and then a personal foul penalty. We can't stay out of our own way, which, that's obviously a lack of discipline. That's a lack of being mature. It's a very immature football team to do those things. We preach around here, we're going to be a tough football team, and we are. We're going to be a tough football team that plays the game the right way. Trying to learn how to be tough doesn't mean you stand over somebody, and I'm not singling out Deion, that penalty right there. That's a learning process for Deion. Deion's going to be a great player. Deion Hunter does a lot of really good things for us. And I promise you, Deion Hunter will never do that again. When you realize in the moment you're trying to do something, then you realize how bad it affects your team, it's really hard to go through those and experience those growing pains, and it's killing our football team. And once we get past all that stuff and we play the game like we would, the way we played coming out in the beginning of the 3rd quarter was a really aggressive football team. It looked like a real football team. And we're playing foot to foot with the best team in our league. We got to continue to make progress and do those things so that we can win that championship around here. We're going to win the championship around here. The frustrating part is what we're doing right now. And it's why we're here. And if you go back and look at the history of New Mexico football in the 60s, Coach Weeks had a great run. They did a great job recruiting with guys like Bobby Santiago. And Coach Fran did a great job, built this building, did a great job, built a team to compete for a championship against Colorado State, which we lost 41-13 my junior year. Coach Long built a team that competed against Colorado State for a championship. We've come close. We're going to keep going down this path. And it starts with recruiting. You have to have great players if you want to be a good coach. And we're going to build it from freshmen on. Some of them are ready to play, some of them aren't. Some of them are playing and they're not ready to play. But it'll be better for our program over the long haul. The opportunity we have Saturday, Colorado State has been hot and cold, and they've played really good the last 2 weeks. They just beat San Jose State 32-14, who's the defending champion. Schematically, they're really good. Trey McBride, the number 85, they're tied in, and Centeio, the quarterback. Against Iowa, he was on the money throwing the football. McBride is probably, he's a tight end, but they use him everywhere. And then on defense, they'll probably give us the most multiple fronts that we've seen all year, and they play really hard. Coach Adazio's got them going in the right direction. Also, they're playing really, really hard. They're the traditional Sonny Lubick teams that were 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. They try and pound you. They can throw it over the top. They're really good on special teams. They play really hard. And then we have a great series. Up until 2009, the series was 32-25. It was really close. Well, now they pulled away with 10-game winning streak to make it 42-27. That's good for them. But that's our kids are going to hear it all week long, 10 times. They've beaten us 10 times in a row. We need to put an end to it. We have an opportunity to compete. We're on a 4-game losing streak. We have an opportunity to compete. Now, the 2 teams that we've lost to in our league, I think right now are the best 2 teams. We'll find out. Air Force and Boise play, and then Air Force and San Diego State play in 2 weeks. So we get another opportunity to compete and get better. We get to do it in front of our fans, and we get to celebrate one of the greatest Lobos that ever played here. So it's going to be a fun night. Go ahead, Van.
As far as the quarterback goes, I was talking to Terry just a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Are you is that more like a game time decision, or what do you think?
For sure. Terry did not practice today. He took a lot of mental reps. He's still got quite a bit of swelling. I anticipate he'll be able to practice tomorrow, talking to him. We will see how mobile his arm is. It's a matter of, thankfully it's not a throwing arm, but he's still got to get it up here to do this stuff. He's still got to be able to take a hit. It took him a while to get it back from when it dislocated it to get it back in, which is, I don't know if you've ever dislocated anything, but even a finger is pretty tragic when you first look at it. And when you have guys that can't get it in, it's pretty, it can mess with your head. Now, I think he's fine as far as that goes. He wants to play, I know that. And we'll decide on Saturday what's the best thing for both him and our football team. I won't put him out there if there's a chance that he's not ready. And that brings up to the point, CJ Montez and Isaiah took the majority of the reps today. Isaiah Chavez hasn't practiced for 6 weeks up until last Thursday. And so, he wasn't allowed to do much physical activity until he got cleared. So we did some things. They did some tests to make sure that he was good. And first and foremost is his health. So he's working back into the rotation, getting reps, getting ready. He'll be ready in a role if we need him. But right now we're going to leave Trey at receiver, and it'll be between CJ and Terry to see if Terry is able to play or not. And if not, then CJ will start, and we'll roll from there.
What are the hurdles that you have to see to put him back on the field?
For Terry? One, we got to get the swelling down, first and foremost. And then it comes to matter of, we can put a brace on it so that he can extend it farther enough so it won't re-dislocate on him. It won't be that discomfort. And then how much pain can he handle? Because it's not something that they can shoot up because it's a joint. So if you've ever dislocated an elbow, I've never dislocated an elbow. I know Coach Arnett, Zach Arnett, who's at Mississippi State, did in high school and was able to play. One of the most gruesome things I've seen. So each person's individually different. And I know in that tent, it took them about 10 minutes to get that thing right. So Terry's a tough guy because a lot of people wouldn't have been able to do that without being put under. So if we can get the swelling down and he can get some mobility, he'll have a chance to get out there. And I know he really wants to, so that's the positive. There's a lot of guys that wouldn't want to. Go ahead, Steve.
You talk about CJ a little more for him to come in the summer and move up to number 2 in the depth chart.
CJ, I think, is going to be a really, really good quarterback for us. Very smart. Very, almost to a point that, very fearless. screws some things up and has a demeanor like, okay, I mean, I'll fix it. Almost to a point where you want to smack him in the head and be like, come on, man, you just really screwed that up. It is kind of a big deal, but that's what you want. You want the water to roll right off their back when they do something wrong. I mean, I've been complaining about our football team not letting things go, waiting for bad things to happen and not being able to overcome them. And he's got the complete opposite. I mean, when he screws up, it's like, okay, I'll fix it. Tell me what to do. I'll fix it. Don't. So he's fearless, and he's going to be a really, really good player. For a true freshman to come in and play quarterback is really, really hard. I mean, he was thinking about prom this time last year. So he's going to be a good quarterback, and he might be put into service earlier than most are ready to. But we'll see. He's not afraid, I'll tell you that. I mean, I'm more nervous than he would be.
If he does play well, will that affect it for the next week, or will you still go with Terry if that swelling does go down the following week?
See, look, we got all kinds of guys trying to start a quarterback controversy in here. No, I mean, Terry's our quarterback, but I'm not against playing a hot hand. I mean, if TJ Montes comes in here and throws for 500 yards and has the day of his life, then TJ Montes is going to play. But I mean, Terry's our quarterback, so I'm not worried about that. I want CJ to come in and play and just be relaxed, and that's hard to do as a true freshman.
Defensively, I was talking to Jarek about how you mentioned how you guys came out in the second half and how aggressive and everything they were. And he was talking about how they took it upon themselves. Let's score. We got helped off, and so let's score. You must be glad to hear something like that, because we haven't heard that around here.
For sure. It's there's signs of our team growing, because when you're struggling as bad as we are on offense, that can split a football team so fast and create so much animosity that guys are coming off the sideline complaining to each other. Do your job, and that has been so far from there's been none of that. And that was the attitude of, if they're going to struggle, then let's give them a short field. Let's go score ourselves. And I thought when we scored, we were going to make a great game of it and have a chance to win the game, solely because of that attitude. There's going to be days, and we'll fix the offense. There's going to be days where the offense is going to have to carry the defense. Well, right now it's the other way around, and we're not quite good enough to do it at a point where we don't let them score. We're not there yet. There was times in Dontrell's era that night is a perfect example. In 2002, when we played Colorado State, they couldn't move the ball. They were the number 3 rushing offense in the country and could not run the ball. They had 250 total yards of offense. Our offense was struggling, and we have a chance to win the game. That's a championship program. We're not there yet. And the attitude is what keeps you going. I'll tell you this, we got beat 31-7, and our kids are out there fighting. If they don't fight, we're going to get beat 60-7. And then you're in trouble. We have a ways to go before we're a good football team. They have the right attitude. We need to continue to get better players, and we need to continue to get better at playing the game of football. That's not going to change. That changes with time.
Coach, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Coach, you were extremely competitive last week.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, I don't know that we saw that. What kind of changes did you make going into San Diego State? Well,
we simplified something. If you take Air Force out of the equation, Air Force, we confused them. I'm going to take full responsibility for how bad our kids played, because when you make a ton of assignment mistakes, you're obviously doing a bad job of teaching, and you're asking them to do something they can't do. There were spurts of the Texas A&M game that we competed with them. We didn't have the attitude to go in there and expect to compete with them, to expect to win that game. Goes to show you how good Texas A&M has the potential to be. They beat the best football team in the country over the last decade last Saturday. We did some things schematically that were we probably taught it better. We did some things positive on offense in the second half. I thought we ran the ball a lot better in the second half against their starters. They take a lot of pride, and when we were there, we took a lot of pride in not letting somebody score, and so they didn't want to give us the opportunity. We shot ourselves in the foot. We throw the interception down there in the goal line. We turn the ball over on the 30-yard line. And then on defense, the biggest majority of changing the attitude around here is solely them believing in themselves. I have all the belief in the world that we can be a very competitive football team. I believe we have enough talent that we can be competitive. We can't react or overreact when something goes wrong, and it's almost like we're waiting for something to go bad, and then it takes us a long time to recover. And that goes into the fine details of everything we do, from practice, from meetings, how we go from place to place, how we handle off the field stuff, on the field stuff. I mean, we're changing everything. They believe in what we're doing because of the competitive nature that they have. And if they didn't have the competitive nature, then we'd be really in trouble. So they competed hard. Go ahead, Lee.
So the message to us is we're going to win championships.
Yep.
Does that message work to them?
They believe in the process. There's no doubt. Now, the interesting part of that deal is who believes that message. The seniors that are here, especially the 14 that have come back, I give those guys a ton of credit, because when you have a new coaching staff come in, oftentimes those guys get lost in the shuffle, especially when you've got to rebuild, because the guys that are going to really build the program are the ones that are young and that you bring in that you believe have more talent than the reason that you're here. Those 14 that we asked to come back, they believe in what we're doing. They believe in the university. They believe in the Lobo for Life concept. And they're doing everything they can to help us create the atmosphere around here that thrives on winning. So do they believe it? They believe it. Do they understand the point of the process we're at? Unfortunately, they do. Okay? They're fighting their tails off every week to get better. And there's signs during the game, we're just an immature football team that kill ourselves, and we're not talented enough to overcome that yet. I'm brazen about it. We are going to win a championship. And if we don't in 5 years, then they're going to fire me. And I'm okay with that. Then they need to find somebody else that can win a championship, because this place has the potential to win championships because of President Stokes and Eddie and the support that we're getting, and the community here that we'll get, that Dontrell lived through 2002 to 2005 when we did average over a sellout. The community will get behind it. So there's enough potential here and enough support that if you can win championships. It's going to come down to recruiting. And you don't have to get 4- and 5-star guys. You have to get really, really good players that become 4- and 5-star guys.
Coach,
Yes, sir.
when you come to work in the morning, it's dark. You go home at night, it's dark. You're hungry, you pay attention to the family. Your players, they get motivated by you. You inspire them. How do you inspire yourself on your way to work in the morning?
Well, first and foremost, my faith. I'm big in my faith. Without God, that's number one. You mentioned family. I'm big on family, and they come up here when they can and around those things. But I think one of the questions that Lee asked is do they believe in your message? I know that those guys know that I have their best interest at heart, and that I will do anything for them as long as they do things right. And knowing that, and how much I care about this football program and this football team, that drives me. Now, winning a championship, that's what drives me in this. That's why I'm here. There's no reason, if they weren't able to or willing to compete for a championship, I would have not come here. As much as I love this place, the reason that you do this is to win championships. That's the only reason it's what drives me in this. Now, we have a great responsibility of mentoring them and making sure that they graduate, and I think that's just as important. But the fire in my gut, and I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. This is miserable. And I've made the comments to Coach Long, we've been so good for so long, this is miserable. But it's why we're here. Go ahead, Steve.
Do we expect some changes on the offensive line?
We're going to continue to, we played different guys throughout the game on Saturday. Leke was in there. Issei was in there. Who's that? Ratson Yang played at center. And so those guys, we're going to continue rolling with some of those guys. Jack Buford's a sophomore. I mean, he was in there for the majority of the game. They are learning on the fly. A couple of them show times that they're really, really ready, and other times they're not. That's kind of the growing pains you play, especially the closer you are to the line of scrimmage, playing those guys that are young. I mean, Issei's a true freshman. You're going to continue to see that throughout our football team because those guys, I mean, we're going to play the ones that perform the best in practice and give us the best chance to win, and some of those guys are right now. So Rico Hanna, really, really cool deal, has recovered really well from his surgery. He will be eligible to play this week. The plan right now is he's still got 3 games left that we can play and redshirt him and have him back next year. So that's the plan. We'll find 3 games that he can play in. He looked really good at practice today. So, I mean, I anticipate having him to be able to play Saturday, and then we'll pick 2 more after that. We'll make sure. I mean, he looked good today, so that's kind of exciting news. Taylor Neer is going to continue to go through rehab, has an AC sprain. He did individuals and stuff today. We'll put him in the yellow jersey tomorrow and progress him a little bit more. But I anticipate him being able to play unless the pain is so crucial he can't. And then Luke Weissong will play again. And Manny still will not be ready to play. CJ Boone will be back. Zarek Scruggs will be back. So that's really good news. And then I thought Andrew did some really nice things Saturday in the game. Both, I mean, he dropped that punt where it was pass interference, but we'll see him back there doing some punt returning. Luke Weissong will continue to punt return and kick return. I think those guys are explosive and give us an opportunity to create something to help the offense out and give them some short fields. Who else is on that list? Boone? He had a cold. I mean, he was sick. It's an interesting deal, and it's the right deal. When a young man has symptoms, we go through the whole process. First and foremost, we check him for COVID. That he didn't have COVID. And then we go down, we check him for the flu, we check him for mono, we check him for everything. He had an elevated temperature earlier in the week, so we started him on some medication. And until they're sure what it is, they take all the caution in the world to make sure that he's, 1, not spreading anything to anybody, and 2, that he's healthy. I mean, pre-COVID, you had a cold, you fought through it, and you did it. And now, because of the unknown of what's out there, they're going through the process the right way. So he had a cold. He's back today. And he practiced today, so we'll be good to have him on Saturday. What else? Anything else? Awesome. Congratulations to Dontrell again. It'll be a fun celebration. Be there.